67,000. That's how many companies are operating in the generative AI space right now. And that only counts the pure play AI companies. It doesn't include the thousands of established software vendors adding AI to their existing products. If you're one of those companies and you're relying on your technology to help you stand out, then you have a problem. I'm Morgan McLintic. I run Firebrand. We're a PR and marketing agency that works with AI companies. In the last video, I walked through the research about how B2B buyers build their shortlists and how 95% of the time they buy from that list that they had on day one. If you missed the episode, the link's in the description. This video is about why that shortlist problem is particularly bad for AI companies. There were around 50,000 generative AI companies at the end of 2023. By 2025, that number had crossed 67,000. New AI startup formations have been growing at 20 to 25% year over year. In 2025, AI companies pulled in over $200 billion in VC capital. That's roughly half of all the global VC funding for the year, according to Crunchbase. That's up 85% from 2024. So when I say AI companies, I don't just mean the frontier model developers such as OpenAI and Anthropic, the much wider universe of companies building on top of LLMs, embedding AI into existing software, testing and evaluating models, applying machine learning to an industry-specific problem. If AI is part of your proposition, then this applies to you. The technical differentiators that founders often care about, whether that's the architecture for their foundational model or it's a proprietary training data for an AI native SaaS platform, are often invisible to the buying committee that's making the actual decision. The VP evaluating your product doesn't care about your inference speed. They care about whether they've even heard of you. 63% of AI startups fail within their first 3 years, well above the 50% for traditional tech companies. Product advantages in AI erode in months, whereas brand compounds over years. According to Sixth Sense 2025 report, 94% of B2B buyers are using LLMs during their purchasing journey. Nearly 2/3 use generative AI as much or more than traditional search when they're evaluating vendors. For tech buyers specifically, that figure hits 80%. So buyers are asking ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity to draft the shortlist, compare solutions, summarize capabilities, all before your sales team knows that the deal exists. So improving your presence in AI search is what the industry calls generative engine optimization, or GEO. It matters because LLMs pull from publicly available content like review sites and press articles and documentation and published data. Vendors with authoritative, widely cited content are far more likely to appear in those AI search results than vendors with a thin web presence who simply don't show up. The Sixth Sense research also suggests that LLM usage peaks in the middle of the buyer journey. So that's comparing options, modeling costs, drafting RFP language, not really right at the beginning. So LLMs aren't the primary way that buyers discover vendors from scratch, but they are increasingly how buyers are validating and comparing and ranking those vendors that they have on their shortlist. And if your competitors are showing up more credibly in those comparisons than you, then you can easily get dropped out from the shortlist that you were already on. For AI companies, this is worth paying attention to. The irony is not lost that you're building an AI product and it's AI that is the thing that is deciding whether buyers can even find you. But is brand awareness really all that important for AI companies? What about OpenAI and Anthropic and Mistral? They built massive brands through media attention around their product, not through marketing programs. Those companies, though, are frontier models that attracted global media attention organically. Most companies in this space are building applications and platforms and tools on top of models. An AI-powered contract analysis tool or an LLM-based compliance product doesn't get that kind of organic coverage. You need to build the brand deliberately because the market won't do it for you. What about product-led growth? Companies like Hugging Face and LangChain, they've built brand awareness through open source communities and developer adoption, and that is an excellent path to growth. But PLG has its limits. It works when your end user is also your buyer. So for instance, a developer who finds your tool and they adopt it and they champion it internally. For a lot of AI native companies though, the buyer isn't the user. The decision to purchase that sort of AI powered procurement platform is made by a VP evaluating vendors against a shortlist, and that buyer is not on GitHub. They're relying on peer networks and review sites and analyst coverage, and increasingly on LLM recommendations, as we've said. PLG and brand awareness aren't opposing strategies. Plenty of companies need both. But if your go-to-market relies on a top-down sale to a senior buyer, PLG won't get you on those shortlists. What if, though, you're not competing in an established category? You're creating a new one. You're selling an AI-powered revenue intelligence platform, but the buyer doesn't know that category exists. The problem then isn't making the shortlist. The problem is getting the buyer to recognize that there is even a category. And that's still a brand awareness problem. It's just that the awareness that you need to build is for the category and not just the company. So it actually takes more investment in content and thought leadership, not less. The market's crowded. The differentiators are invisible to buyers. AI itself is building shortlists that determine who gets considered. All of this leads to the same solution. You need to be known. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how brand awareness and demand gen work together. A lot of people hear invest in brand and assume that we're saying stop doing demand, but we're not. We're saying demand gen without awareness doesn't work, and I'll walk you through the data on that. I'm Morgan McLintic. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.